Hello viewers, and welcome to a brand new episode of Trashtalk on Fabula Ultima, a series where I talk about the various classes you can mix together to create your desired heroic characters in your Fabula Ultima campaign. In today's episode, Loremaster, Archivist, Sage, Scholar, a class for those hunger for knowledge with a desire to know more, or maybe you just like to be a smartass. Basically, if your character has attended a college or university, picking this would fit into their theme. In terms of mechanic, Loremaster is more a role-playing class, one who is good at figuring things out, squeezing the game master's brain for lore, and in combat, they are the best at figuring out the opponent through the study action. You might also want to have a high insight attribute for this class, trust me on this. Loremaster also has a free benefit of increasing max MP by 5, probably due to their enormous brain. As for their skills, let's start with Flash of Insight. When you roll 13 or higher on a check to investigate a creature, meaning monsters or persons in this book, as well as an item, or location, even including using the study action in conflict, you may ask the GM up to skill level amount of questions concerning the subject of your investigation. You may ask these questions immediately or save them up for later. The GM must answer these questions truthfully, and then you describe your character's deductive process. This can only be used once on the same creature, item, or location. As you can see, this is a pure role-playing skill, one that makes your brain feel very enlarged, though this skill might have minor impact on the plot if your GM is the make shit up on the go type. You can't exactly get a clear answer from that style of game mastering. Second, Focused, permanently increasing your maximum mind point by up to 15, and also when you perform an open check using double insight. Open check is a check where you don't go against a difficulty level number, and instead how good you roll determines how good your result is. Study action uses open check, by the way. You also gain a bonus equal to a max of 5 on that check, and this only applies to open check. In short, you gonna feel really smart, whether in terms of your MP amount, or just knowing more. Third, Knowledge is power. When you perform accuracy check, that is when you attack or shoot something, you may replace one of the attribute dice with insight, so, every weapon usually requires 2 different attribute dices to use, making it so that if you want to use a weapon good, you better have good attribute in them, or in the other way around, how you build your character gives you better access to different weapons. This skill basically replaces one of the dice with insight, which is an indispensable attribute to Loremaster, making it so that you can kinda treat the unwanted attribute as a dump stat with no problem. You can also say that this is your character hitting enemies with knowledge of their weak points to compensate for their lack of speed, strength, or magic. It's an interesting way of mechanically supporting these sort of characters. Fourth, Quick Assessment. At the start of a conflict, you may spend up to 30 mind points. For every mind points spent this way, choose one option, choose a creature you can see and the GM reveals one of their traits, or name a damage type and choose a creature you can see, the GM will reveal that creature's affinity towards that damage type. This skill is exactly what it sounds like. It's like a quick form of study action to let you know part of a creature's weakness, so your party can take action immediately, and even study action can fail, so you can think of this as a backup as well. The best uses of this skill would be against a hard encounter with new enemies or a boss battle. You definitely want to understand the enemy weakness and traits in those fights fast. And finally, Trained Memory. You may perfectly recall the details of any scene you have visited within the past week. You can essentially go back in time to examine and investigate the scenes again, and your Flash of Insight skill may apply to these memories too. Basically, you are so smart because you can remember everything. Problem is, this requires the GM to not have the memory of a tofu, so, good luck. Upon obtaining 10 skills in a class, it is now locked out, and you get to pick a heroic skill for it. As of now, the Loremaster has access to 5 of them, 2 from Core Rulebook, 1 from Techno Fantasy, and 2 from the 6th Fabula Ultima bonus supplement. And we just received news that there's a 6th one just now, on Natural Fantasy Atlas, basically out right now. You will know more about it next week. From the core book, first there's Mathemagic. When you cast a spell that can target only one creature, you can double the spell total MP cost to hit more than one target. You first do so by choosing an attribute and dice size. Any creature with said attribute dice will be target, no matter if they are friend or foe, including yourself. This is, to say the least, a very powerful heroic skill. Some spell only target a single creature for a reason. This also plays into Loremaster way of using their knowledge to be better, since if you don't have a good knowledge of your enemies and your allies' attribute, you might ended up doing more harm than good. In other words, use the skill smart or use it dead. Next there's Predictable. The exclamation mark is absolutely needed. During a conflict, You may spend an action and 20 mind points to anticipate the upcoming moves of a creature you can see, as long as you know 2 or more of the creature's traits. If you do so, you can choose one type of action: attack, guard, objective, spell, or skill. Until the start of your next turn, the creature must spend 20 mind points to perform said action. If they can't, they must perform a different action. Basically, this heroic skill doesn't actually requires you to accurately guess the next action a creature is about to do, but rather, prevent them from doing it effectively, because, you predicted it. Doesn't matter if you use the skill to make the enemy eat into their MP supply, or you just want them to stop doing a thing. Fabula Ultima is still ultimately a game of resource management, and if you can get the enemy to lose more than you do, you win. Next heroic skill comes from the Techno Fantasy Atlas, called Quick Scan. When you perform the study action during a conflict, instead of examining one target, you can examine all enemies at once. So yeah, this makes using study a lot easier. Not much to say about this one, it's just good. The next 2 available heroic skills came from the bonus supplement you can find on Need Game's main website. First is Anatomist. You can also get it by mastering Fury, Sharpshooter, or Weapon Master, but Knowledge is Power must be obtained. Whenever you pick this heroic skill, choose 2 species among Beast, Construct, Demon, Elemental, Monster, Plant, Undead. When you deal damage to a creature belonging to the humanoid species or to a species you have chosen for this heroic skill, you may choose one option: deal 5 extra damage, or cause that creature to be reeling until the end of the scene. When reeling, the creature can only recover half HP and or MP, and then it's no longer reeling. You can choose this heroic skill up to 3 times. This basically further builds up Knowledge is Power to the next level, namely, you are so good at striking enemy weak point that you can now do more harm. Though I'm not sure if you want multiple of this heroic skills, focus on certain creatures and then other heroic skills might be a better idea. Next, there's like an open book, a heroic skill that can also be gained by mastering Esper and Rogue, but you require the Soul Steal skill which is from Rogue, so we gonna leave this for another episode. And coming in with Natural Fantasy, a book I still haven't talked about, there's 2 additional heroic skills. First is Skillful Dosage, which can also be unlocked with mastery in Gourmet, Merchant, and Tinkerer class. Any potions and delicacies you have created or healing spells you have cast, can now cause a creature to recover HP and MP beyond the max, up to 150% of the max score. At the end of the scene, any amount over the max is just gone. Basically, you can now overheal people with magic or drugs or whatever. Very useful if you are having a tough fight and you rather have your tank have too much health instead of too little, or your mage have too much MP instead of whatever. Finally, there's Wise Counsel, that can also be unlocked by mastering Commander from High Fantasy and Orator classes. When you perform Support Check is when you support other player in their thing for better role. If the leader of the group check can hear and understand you, you may use double insight, and willpower, or double willpower instead of normal attributes for the support check. Also, describe how you offer your advice. Additionally, when you use Teamwork option to support another player character's check during conflict, you may spend 10 MP and pick 2 of the following benefits, which include making your teammate recover 20 MP, recover from Dazed, Enraged, and Shaken status effect, let them do a free attack or casting spell at the end of their turn, or, if their action is to fill or erase a section of a clock, fill or erase an additional section of it. This is a pure support heroic skill. First part lets the Loremaster and other classes to almost always use Insight or Will for the support check, which is helpful as that gives a higher chance of success as Loremaster like having high insight. The second part vastly enhanced teamwork in combat, supporting the key player in the team. JRPG has always been about people using the power of friendship to kill God. This is just mechanically supporting it. And that's about it on Loremaster, the class that knows a little about everything, and as certain someone has said,
information is ammunition.
If you can hear it through the 240p quality. Anyway, that's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.